Hi, Matthieu from CYME here. If you're looking for great raw image quality and super sharp images, chances are that you came across DxO PureRAW because it's a market leader in its class in detail recovery and noise reduction through very advanced algorithms that have been perfected over the years. While PureRAW has a fairly good integration with Lightroom, the process is much more cumbersome if your images live elsewhere. The good news is that with Peakto, you can have a seamless integration with PureRAW, whether your images are in Lightroom or in Capture One, or even in Apple Photos or in Luminar. In this video, we're going to unveil all the secrets of the new PureRAW editing workspace inside Peakto. Let's get started. The second editing workspace that is new to Peakto is DxO PureRAW. PureRAW is a raw converter and raw optimizer. It will take a raw file and convert it into either another raw file as a DNG or a JPEG file. And in the process, PureRAW will make lots of very clever optimization to your raw file. It will correct for lens. It will, of course, do some very fancy denoising. It will really clean up your raw file. In order to understand the integration of PureRAW with Peakto, let's look at a diagram. So there are really multiple scenarios, and PureRAW is a converter that will take as an input a raw file and will output a DNG raw file that has been optimized, where noise has been reduced and some very clever processing has been applied. So the scenarios are the following. Suppose you are starting from a raw file that lives in a watched folder. In that case, Peakto is watching that folder and is watching every hierarchy based on that folder. So if you use the default settings of PureRAW, which are to write the output file next to the original file, well, the output will end up in that watch folder and will appear by magic in Peakto. So that's really simple. You'll see the little dot icon, yellow icon, telling you that the folder needs to be synced because there's a new file in it and it's going to show up. The second scenario is, let's suppose you're starting from a catalog where you have your raw files, like for example a Capture One or Lightroom catalog, and so you're starting from an image that is referenced by that catalog. It lives in a master folder, and here what happens is that if you just process the raw in PureRAW and create a DNG that is either sitting next to the file or is sitting in a folder underneath it, Peakto is not going to pick it up. In order to make that work, there is an option in PureRAW that lets you send back the output file to an application of your choice. And this is what we are using. So if you choose Peakto as your application, as your destination application, those converted raw files are going to go back to Peakto, and Peakto is going to properly put them in place. That means it's going to, if they come from Capture One or Lightroom, it's able to launch those apps and put them next to the file that they originated from. The last scenario is, well, you can take a raw file and just drop it in the PureRAW work folder inside Peakto. This will create a copy of that raw file, and then this is fully managed by Peakto. So if you use PureRAW and use even the default settings, it's going to create an output file next to that raw file, and it's going to end up in that work folder, so it's going to show up in Peakto. Let's see how these various scenarios work out inside Peakto. We're going to start with the watched folders. This folder contains 4 raw files. I'm going to pick one, and I'm going to edit it inside this source, meaning I'm going to convert it in place using PureRAW. So here is the image that I have selected. I'm going to process, use deep prime. Here I have a number of options. I can leave the last one untouched. It's going to process, create a new DNG file, and once this file is created, it's going to be saved next to the original, maybe in a DxO folder next to it, but it's going to live inside my watched folder because it's a subfolder of my watch folder, and Peakto will pick it up. Conversion is finished. The file has been created in this DxO subfolder of my rows folder. If I go back to Peakto, I will see the little icon telling me that something has changed in my folder. I can synchronize. And now I have two versions of this image. The first one being the raw file, and the second one being the DNG that has been produced. You can see how DxO has applied some lens correction to the file. And if I go to my PureRAW workspace, I can see that file being there. Very conveniently for me, the DNG is now referenced in the workspace. It lives in both in all versions and last edits, but my work folder is empty because this conversion that I just did happened in place inside this folder that I watch. Let's look at a second scenario where we start from an image that lives in a catalog, such as Adobe Lightroom. I'm going to pick this image here. It's a raw file. Choose Edit in Workspace, and I'm going to choose to edit inside this source. Peakto tells me that I should process the image and select to export to Peakto as a destination. I'm going to use the prime, leave the other options as is, and start the processing. So now what's happening is I have this image being produced. Inside my existing master folder that was referenced in Lightroom and is not directly referenced in Peakto. At the end of the process, Peakto is going to be called, because this is what I chose to do at when I started the process. Peakto will receive the new file and will start Lightroom. This is what's happening now. Lightroom is started on the original catalog that I had, and Peakto will simply add the new DNG file next to the old one. So here is the image that was just produced, and next to it is my original file. The last scenario is using the work folder. So if I take an image and drag it to the work folder, in that case, I'm going to choose Peakto at the end. the image will be converted, and Peakto will be called with the result, and we'll place it into the work folder. The processing is done. If I go back to Peakto and the work folder is selected for me, I can see this new image, this new DNG has been added here. Clicking on PureRAW will give me access to the images that I produced previously, as well as this one. So this is PureRAW in Peakto. We support a variety of scenarios to convert in place or convert using the work folder. And the editing workspace lets you conveniently access all the conversion that you have done previously. With Peakto, it's never been easier to integrate DxO PureRAW into your workflows, whether you're coming from Capture One, Luminar, Apple Photos, or Lightroom. You can easily keep track of the new files produced through the DxO PureRAW editing workspace inside Peakto. You can find those files in context without losing the link to the original file. If you are a DxO Photolab user, you might want to check the other video that we just made about DxO Photolab inside Peakto. Thank you very much for watching this video. Don't forget to like it and subscribe to this channel to get notified when we publish new content. We hope to see you soon again. Take care and bye-bye.